Tell us about CCAC.
That was Steve Myers' baby. Well, no, it wasn't really. He co-opted what existed in Angelica already. Floret and yourself and a number of other people were involved in opposing a developing landfill, or a landfill that was set to be developed in town. And there really wasn't much publicity about it. I can't say that I knew about it before that. But then again, I don't read the papers a lot and stuff. So, but then I know that Steve kind of co-opted that name, or that part of that group, and he began. And Steve's expertise in the commercial world of advertising and art photography was critical. He did a really great job of packaging what we were about, what our concerns were, and what we were faced with. And the people that gathered there around and with Steve when he was president of CCAC, he had a pretty good group. He chose some pretty intelligent people. I believe it was him who made the initial contact with David Seeger, who ended up being our long-term attorney. And he did a fantastic job. We took some ads out in major newspapers that Steve did, and they had a huge impact. Huge impact. They were very impressive. And that got the ball rolling, really. Although I was initially, Steve wanted to throw me out of his house when I showed up at the first meeting, because he thought perhaps I was a spy, which was a little far-fetched, but nonetheless, one can't be too careful when he didn't know me. So he told me I had to leave, and Rich Kelly and Steve Hubertus intervened and said, I don't think he's a spy. And he can stay. And so I ended up staying that day. And that was my first involvement with CCAC.
The funding of CCAC, could you talk a little bit about that?
We raised, I know that, I saw Glenna Fredrickson, who was Concerned Citizens Treasurer throughout, for the large part of the fight. I think she said I went through $250,000. There were some large contributions from individuals that were significant, to be sure. But there was a lot of bake sale money and raffle tickets and all that potluck supper stuff, and that was all gathered by the people who made up CCAC. Just the people that I don't know, that I never met, but that took it upon themselves to help the organization out. It was a tremendous amount of money.
Yeah, I remember at the meetings how we were always trying to figure out how to pay
Seeger. How to pay Seeger. Lawyer bills are big, and that was a large part of our bill, to be sure. But yeah. I think it was worth it. I think the work that David Seeger did developing the 10th Amendment lawsuit, which worked, and was picked up by first the county, then the other counties that were cited, and also by the state of New York and several other states as well, which eventually succeeded in the Supreme Court. And obviously that case has a huge impact today, as we're reading in the papers, with states' rights. Seems to be a big issue.
Yeah.
So Seeger was invaluable,
Huge impact. Cuomo killed Long Island nuclear power plant. He was on our side basically in that lawsuit too.
I had several opportunities over the course of the fight. I think 3 separate times I ended up going to meet with Governor Cuomo. Initially, it was in a large room in Albany with all the other sites. There were 5 other counties, 5 other areas named initially, and it was winnowed down to Cortland and Allegany County. But initially there were a large number of counties involved, and they were all represented. Ulster County was there, Greene County was there, or was that Washington County? Is that where Greene is in Washington County? Anyways, that end of the state, north of Albany. And they were all represented at that meeting, which was the meeting that I think David Seeger raised the 10th Amendment question. Cuomo latched onto that pretty quickly, and also in attendance at that meeting was Dr. Theodore Taylor, who Cuomo recognized through his work knew and deeply respected. And both Seeger's idea of a 10th Amendment lawsuit, constitutional suit, and Dr. Taylor's technical expertise in the area of nuclear, things radioactive, impressed Governor Cuomo, and I think got him on board right away. I think he really did back us. And in the end, he's the one who put a halt to the siting process in New York State. I mean, we all pushed him to push the button, but in the end, he's the one who pushed the button. You know, his office is the one that developed the bill that put the siting process on hold, and it's where we are today.
Did you keep a separation from ACNAG? Seems like you did.
I did, and that was a big part of David Seeger's advice. I was up front a lot. I was in the paper a lot. I was on TV more than I like to have been. I was speaking out in public at schools and at Rotary clubs and at Grange meetings, on schools, colleges, and David felt, and I agreed with him, that to be a lawbreaker in that situation, putting forth what we were putting forth wasn't going to cut it. We would get thrown out of legislative offices. They'd say, well, you're breaking the law. Come and see me when you're a law-abiding citizen, you know. And so I didn't want that. And also I think it's a little obvious to think that the guy with a ponytail is going to be the one who gets arrested, right? So I threw a little curve at him. That was the idea. And stuck with the CCAC thing. And I was also involved a whole lot in Don't Waste New York, who did a ton of lobbying along with concerned citizens, and that was an alliance of the original 5 counties as well that were cited, 5 areas that were cited, and that was an alliance that was brought together almost immediately. The meeting at Myers' house was in early January, I think, and I think the first Don't Waste New York meeting was not that long after, maybe 2 weeks after I went to Oswego for a Don't Waste New York meeting. So my involvement with those two organizations and the fact that I was speaking out publicly a lot and doing a lot of lobbying necessitated that I didn't get arrested, I think.